I'm going to start off with you own a wellness company, I own a wellness company, and we approach it with a similar essence,
Yeah.
yet offering some different services, yet in the same way, we're in alignment in how we see wellness. So, can you explain what wellness means to you, both personally and in business?
Absolutely. So I thank you for having me on. I really
Uh,
appreciate it, and I appreciate the question. And yes, I love your philosophy because I feel like we are very much in alignment. And right now, your services are, especially now when the new pandemic is anxiety, you are
mhm.
crucial to this world. So
Thank
thank
you.
you. Your soul chose to be here at this time, and you are here, and I'm here.
I'm
So
into that.
yeah, so you asked me like, how do I approach wellness,
Well, how do
right? Like
you,
how,
what, maybe you can define wellness first. Like, how do you see wellness?
yeah.
And then how that applies personally and in business. Since you own a wellness company, I know for me, how I look at wellness as a state of being.
Hmm.
And that is really a part of every aspect of your life. And the idea for me and to help the people that I serve is to live well, and living well is interpretable by each person, um, and not assuming what I know living well is for each person, but the fundamentals of living well, finding harmony, finding flow rather than stagnation, um, being able to optimize your potential, creating capacity, and having that unlimited mindset, um, self care. These are just a few of the ways that I look at living well and living wellness as a state of being. And the mind is a very critical part of that because the mind directs every part of our lives. And how we believe, what we think, affects our emotional states, affects our actions, affects our behaviors, becomes our patterns and our habits, and how we connect to ourselves is also very, very fundamentally a part of our belief system. And how we even connect with a higher power is fundamentally part of our belief system because every aspect of your life, whatever your needs are, to create that flow. So, wellness is a state of being from my point of view and what I try to serve for to live well. I know you own a wellness company, and I would love to hear what your thoughts about wellness are, both personally and how that then translates into your business.
Okay, so everything, yes, I agree with everything that you said. So for me, wellness is about balance and different areas in your life at different times. And it definitely, I love what you said about your thoughts control your reality.
Mm-hmm.
And you can shift your paradigm just by your thoughts. And then
Yes.
that shifts everything. For me, it's really the basics, like
Mm-hmm.
getting enough sleep, getting enough sunshine, forgiveness, gratitude,
Oh, definitely.
just having like the basics in order helps you get in touch with yourself and you become the most creative version of yourself. So you spoke about self-care. For me, self-care is not it's not selfish. If I'm uh, really focusing on self-care, I'm the best version of me and I'm good for everybody in my life, and I also am able to really connect with my soul and my higher self
Yes.
and find what it is, who I'm supposed to be in this world.
Yeah.
I'm creative, and it's very hard to stay in that place all the time. We all get off track.
Yeah.
And so one of the things I talk about a lot is habits and habit stacking, small tangible things that could really help you to refocus because we all get off track. I teach this stuff and I get off track as well. But the good thing is I have tools that I can pull myself back.
Yeah, it's interesting that you said that habit stacking. I also operate on a fundamental system, and I realized when I reverse engineered, like, what are my secrets to success, so to speak, because so many of my greatest achievements have been in my darkest times in my life. I've had a lot of trauma and a lot of dark times, and darkness reveals light,
Yeah.
right? So I had to start reframing that as well. And when I looked at how I achieved against all odds what I have in those time frames, I realized that perseverance is definitely one of my strengths. But one of the things I was doing and didn't even realize it until I got trained in hypnotherapy was redirecting my mind. And I created for myself, and now I teach this, is the one thing rule. And it works really well across the board, whether you have PTSD and you're stuck and you're stagnant, you have executive function issues with ADHD, you have cognitive inflexibility issues, ASD, whatever it may be. You could have any, just about almost any kind of anxiety, depression. And if you do one thing, right, just one thing, whatever it is, no matter how small, medium, or large, you're still moving forward. You're still in a flow and you're not stagnant or stuck or inertia. So this one thing rule, before it came to my consciousness, became a guiding factor for me to create success, for me to keep going in the face of tragedy, to take care of children in the face of immeasurable odds, uh, to take care of myself, even when I had health issues. So one thing means you can do at least one thing, and it could be small. So even if it's like picking up the phone, right, to call somebody, you don't have to make the call, you pick it up. That's still one thing. You're still putting one foot in front of the other. So I agree with you with the habit stacking, but if you can just do one thing, so maybe you take your planner out and you put the pencil down, you took the planner out. Then the next day you do one thing, you open up the page. You're still moving forward, even though it seems small. And so in that vein, I was able to redirect my mind and also teach that so that people move and flow. And I use the analogy of water. If you're a river and there's a boulder in the middle of the river, the water is going to flow around and over, right? It's going to find those ways.
Yeah.
So the water does that one thing too. It just keeps going and going and going. And so I think that when people have that mindset and use that tool, it creates wellness in and of itself.
That's brilliant. And I love the simplicity of it. It's such a good thing that you've coined there because it's so manageable and anybody can do one thing. There's no judgment. And it, like you said, we either, it's just one thing to move you forward because we never staying the same. We're either going forward or backward. And inaction causes disease and stagnation. So that's brilliant. I'm going to borrow that. Like
Thank you.
one thing.
Thank
Everyone
you.
can think of one thing, no matter what it is. It's really good.
Yeah. And so with that also is that if you think of a swamp, it's like, stagnant, dirty, whatever.
Exactly.
And if you think of a river, it's clean and it's flowing. So that one thing helps clarify your thinking. It cleanses you, that
very
one thing, and it's
brilliant.
very simple and practical. So I'll coin Dr. Lisa Zaretsky the one
it.
thing rule.
And I will give you credit when I use it. Dr. Lisa says, just do one thing.
Yeah. And so with that said, I also notice that there's a lot of systemic influence on the definition of wellness and what people believe is wellness. I've seen a lot of med spas pop up. Western medicine has a particular view on wellness, and it's quite compartmentalized. Mental health has become compartmentalized, even more so than when I started almost 40 years ago. So I'd like your perspective on the systemic effect on wellness and also how that's impacted your business.
So no judgment as far as I'm concerned. It's such a personal choice and it's what resonates with you as wellness. I really believe in meeting people where they're at and starting the journey from where they're at. I see at the Salt Cave, some people just come in and have a salt session and that's way more than enough for them. And some people come in and want sound therapy and understand the vagus nerve, and other people want acupuncture, and sometimes wellness is financial wellness or physical wellness, or it's so personal that and it doesn't matter. Whatever resonates with you is right. It has to be what pulls you in. Some people maybe only want to go to Western medicine, and that's okay. Everything has value. It's just a matter of what you're open to and what you believe. I always talk about what you believe. Like I have this story of this young kid who comes in, and he came in with his dad last year. He came in and he was 9 years old and he had anxiety. He was at camp and the anxiety was so bad that they kicked him out of camp. And he came to me and he said, "Do you have anything that can help him?" And I said, "Yeah, actually I do." So I took a volcanic beaded bracelet, one of the dark bracelets, and they're porous, and I made a little lavender spray and I sprayed it on and I said, okay, every time you get nervous, just smell the
Yeah.
bracelet
Yeah.
and that's going to calm you down and it's going to help you with your anxiety. So he's like, okay, they went away and about 6 months later, the dad came back and he said, oh my God, it totally works. He thinks that cured his anxiety. And I
Incredible.
was so happy. It filled up my heart. And my girls, my team at work said, yeah, but did it really? Like, what do you, are you sure? Is that, and I said, this is what matters, is that he thinks it did.
Mm-hmm.
And so it comes down to what you're asking me. It really is a choice. It's what we think works for us, because your mind is so strong and there's so much out there. How do you discern what is the right thing for you? Well, you feel it. You feel something, you just know when something's right for you. So that's how I differentiate between what's right and right.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And also, I think this all the time. We may know what we know,
yeah,
and we're trained, and we have all this education and training, and it's all very valuable. And in the
yeah,
end, we know nothing because it's really all from God. And many times when I'm
exactly.
working with any client or even when I do nonprofit or volunteer, um, I'll always say, okay, God, speak through me, right? So use my training, use my experience, lived, clinical, educational, whatever it may be, and speak through me. And
Hmm.
most of the time I just surrender to that and the rest, takes
Yeah,
over. And so I also humble myself in terms of one, I know a lot through wisdom and education, but then again, there's so much more out there and each person has their own inner wisdom. And I agree with you, meeting them where they're at, because even in hypnotherapy, the mind will go where it's ready to go.
yeah,
So even when you put somebody under a deep hypnotic trance, I never know where it's going to go, right? So their mind will guide us, and then it'll go where it needs to go, period, right? And so people get afraid, like, oh my God, I guarantee you the mind will go where it needs to go. And if it needs to go, it's always going to go to the root in some way, shape, or form in a way that's safe for you, that it's ready for.
yeah,
And when it does, it's going to do so in a way that will help you get to the root of the matter and help make meaning for you so that you can release it at whatever time period it is. So when it goes there, it's not revisiting or reliving, it's just reviewing so that you can understand, make the connection, and let it go and start reframing. So I think that meeting the client or people where they're at applies across the board because I see what the mind does. The mind meets even that person where they're at and goes where they're ready to go.
yeah,
And so, and that applies to any of the services that we provide, and we continue to expand. So, meeting people where they're at in every way. We offer the counseling for people who really want to do that inner work with counseling. We offer that 3-month hypnotherapy coaching program for that rapid deep dive. We offer consulting for those who are looking for specific areas. For example, educational consulting. I happen to specialize in neurodiversity and twice exceptionality and helping people figure out routes and pathways that haven't been provided for them and they have no idea how to go and where to go, things like that. So and we're expanding and bringing people in other specialty areas. So we want to meet people where they're at and also encourage them to connect with their mind, connect with themselves, to create paths that they didn't know exist. It's limitless. So how do you create that? You work with your mind, you work with professionals, you create flow, and that's the whole idea. So on that note, I'd like to ask you, what do you see as the role of consciousness with wellness?
So that again is something very personal. So I think that some people, I see when people coming into the cave, and from my own personal journey, I am definitely open and I keep studying and I learn from lots of different mentors. And I see for me, it really works. So spirituality works really well in my life. And
Mm-hmm.
I see so
Me
many
too.
examples of it in my life. And I
Yeah,
see, a lot of people at the Soul Cave, it seems to attract people who really care about consciousness. And
that's interesting.
it seems to bring in a very large part of the people that come in are people who want to do the work. They understand that we all connected to a higher purpose and that there's a tapestry of souls and that we all here. I mean, the fact that we here lived through COVID, have gone through, in a war right now, and are going through all these breaking news every day. Our souls chose to be here, and so we all connected to this the greater consciousness. And what I notice a lot is what's happening in the macrocosm, which is outside of us, very much affects our lives. So yes, there's a war going on, and then I've seen examples of it in my life too. There's different wars going on with different people, and a lot of people are coming in, and I'm like, you're on track. If you're not separate from the world. If that's happening in the consciousness, it's also happening in your life. Yeah. So everything's just really a hologram, but it's all for us, not to us. No matter what, the worst thing that could happen, and I know you've been through stuff and I've been through stuff, it's, for me, it's always turned into something that's taught me, or it's always been a lesson that's made me stronger, however hard it was, and it's made me better in a lot of ways. So it really is our souls coming here like a diamond to be polished under pressure. And
what a nice way to say that.
Yeah, well, it really is the truth. And then we choose to we found different people to help us with different things at different times. Like I love what you're offering, and I think that the fact that you're bringing in other services that really support what you're offering, you make it so easy for people.
That's the idea. To ease and flow. And people being able to, when I was in education or just clinical and therapy, you want to target the areas. So part of my approach has always been a strength-based approach, but also always assessing to see where the target areas are, right? You don't want to throw spaghetti at the wall and just let it stick. You want to really see where the areas of need are. So you want to see where the areas of need of challenge are and where the areas of strength are, and how do you build that bridge. And you would think that it's more clinical or it's more educational, and that's how you create treatment plans and that's how you create educational plans. But when I really took a step back and I looked at it, and we were offering the services that I saw the need for the expansion for that very reason, because I'm hearing what people are needing, where they need to expand in their lives, and meeting people where they're at, where their needs are, so that they can choose and have this flow in life. Then you open by offering what you do. You offer a lot of things, and expanding here so that people can do what they need for the flow of their lives, and it could be interchangeable. There could be fluid. The services are fluid, right? So this is what you need right now, and then you might come to this service or use them, simultaneously, letting that be an option too. And I know that you do the same thing in the Salt Cave, correct?
I do, and I love what you're saying. For me, the universe, we're helping people and we're in service. But if you look at the help we get from the universe, it's guided by the universe. People will come in and say to me, do you offer this service? And suddenly 2 people or 3 people are asking for the same thing at the same time. And I'm like, yes, we do. And then I add that as another service, but it guides me on what my next avenue should be. I love how it works. And so we don't have to do all the work. We just have to listen.
It's so true.
We just have to get out the way and listen. And then when you start paying attention and you start seeing the little nuggets that the universe gives you and you follow them, it's always right.
Yeah, no, that's a great example. I have a client who's been in need of a particular specialty area that asked me to help them find. And I looked, and when I was forcing it and trying and looking and trying to find the right fit for them and really try to service them, no matter where I looked, it wasn't the right fit. So took a step back, thought about it, and then all of a sudden I was like, I had an epiphany. I happen to know somebody who's the partner has a area of specialty in that area. And I reached out first to see if he'd be okay with it, and then I spoke, and then all of a sudden, like, now he's going to come on board to Zaretsky Wellness, and he's going to coordinate care and offer this service. And it's not just one person who needs that service, many people.
Exactly that.
And it just it's like when you force something, or and not force in a bad way, but you want it to happen, and you want to find the right, like you keep going. But then when you take a step back and you put it out there and you're like, okay, I really want to help these people. How are we going to make it happen? And then all of a sudden the clarity comes, the courage to reach out beyond your comfort zone can happen. The concerns, like I had a concern about, dual roles or relationship, and I just got this message, move past that right now. This is coming to you, and let this happen, and it'll unfold, right? And so little by little, I'm seeing these things unfold. So I think that's a piece of what you're saying too. When you try to force something,
Yeah.
or you try to figure it out on your own, yes, you always, it's always important to do your research and work diligently and find out what you can. But in the end, there's something internal too, like that force, like let it go, and then it comes. So I think that's what you're saying. And I just had those examples very recently for Zaretsky Wellness
Yeah.
too. Yeah.
Exactly.
So based on that, you want to share a little bit of your origin story?
Yeah, sure. So I come from Johannesburg, South Africa, and my dad was a good old-fashioned South African doctor. If we got sick, we popped a pill, got a shot. I didn't even really need to go to the doctor because my dad
Yeah.
was a doctor. And then 33 years ago, I was living in California and I got into a car accident and I hurt my neck. So I was pushed from behind into a truck and I climbed out of the car seemingly unscathed. And my head started pulling to the side a few
Yeah.
days later.
Yeah.
And I just went to the doctor and got cortisone shots. And I was working as a concierge at the Four Seasons in Beverly Hills
Oh,
at the
wow.
time. And there was a spiritual leader staying there at the hotel. And my neck was getting more and more painful and pulling more and more to the side. And Beverly Hills is the land of beautiful people. And I was looking in the mirror and I'd feel like I looked deformed. And it was,
Mm.
I had to really go in deep and I had to do a lot of self work and self reflection. And so on this particular day, I was in a lot of pain, and I walked up to the spiritual leader and I said, "How old were you when you found your peace?" Because I always had a feeling that I was supposed to do something.
Mm.
And he said, "Hold on." And he came back with this book. And the first line of this book says something like, "Your dreams become your desires, is your destiny." And I
Mm.
said, "That's it." I read the whole book in one day. I had been at the Four Seasons for 5 years. I quit my job the next day in search of my destiny. And I
Wow.
traveled the world. I worked with all kinds of amazing healers, some good, some bad, but it really helped me develop my intuition.
Yeah.
And now I'm ready. If somebody walks in, I instantly know if they're the right fit for my place or not. And I had a vision very early on after the accident and while starting to travel of this wellness center. I knew I would open this wellness center, and that was 33 years ago.
Wow.
And the universe made me wait 25 years before they let me open the wellness center. And I would scream at the universe and say, "Did you forget about me? What's wrong with you? I know what my life purpose is. I know what my destiny is." And talking about trying to force something before it's right, I try to open with bad partners a couple of times, lots of lessons learned. And then I finally opened 8.5 years ago. And the day I opened, I had this tattoo. It says Divine Timing, because I
Wow.
finally understood that I wasn't ready if I opened it, 25 years earlier. I wasn't confident enough. I didn't have enough knowledge. The world wasn't ready for a place that had energy medicine and salt crystals. And so but then I started to really trust the universe. And I really, really believe in divine orchestration now, but it took me a long time to get
Yeah.
there. So that's why I opened it. And I had the vision was it would be like an African chic kind of a feel. And it's exactly that. And I walked around in this place in my head for 25 years
That's
before I opened
incredible.
it.
Yeah, I love that. That's
And
incredible.
when people walk in, the feeling I wanted to create has been created. But I always say it was the universe downloaded everything.
Yeah. So that pivotal moment with your neck and the spiritual healer, would you say that that was the moment where you raised your consciousness to have clarity of what wellness is and what your destiny was?
No, so I think it's more that it's been a journey. There's
Okay.
moments of it that I questioned the universe so much.
Yeah.
There wasn't that moment of clarity that, oh, this is it. Till many, many years later.
And experiences.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now I have such a vision of why so many things happened, and I understand that journey was, I call it collecting ingredients.
Oh, I love that.
And just from, I look back, and you know how sometimes you look back and so many things make sense that did not make sense at the time.
Yes.
So I have those moments often with this place, but it definitely took time to get there. There was lots of battles, like I said, with bad partners, and finally, I have so much clarity and still learning every day. I mean, there's so much more to go. We're never done. I used to think that I would find my life purpose and everything would be amazing. And I've come to understand that is not what happens. You climb the mountain, get to the top, and you see the next mountain ahead of you. But there's moments of pure perfection and joy. And those are the moments that are, magic. Like a moment when somebody finds hope at the Salt Cave, or when I'm in my flow in the synchronicity, or ideas are coming to me and I'm creating so many things. And I'm so grateful to work in a place that there's miracles every day. And then I get to work in a place that came through my head, that the universe downloaded this whole place to me, and it helps so many people. I'm so lucky that I get to live this life.
Well, I I would rather say instead of luck that it's a blessing, right?
Completely.
And that what happens is that what you were saying about the journey. This is how I see it, and at least my experience also is that we only know what we know, right? And so we have these vessels and these containers with what we know, and then we have these experiences divinely provided, so that with more light coming in. And so the vessel that we exist has to break in some way, shape, or form. We don't have to break, but the vessel has to break, right? And in order to allow not just the next chapter and the part of the journey, but the light in and whatever else we're prepared for. And then we're building the next vessel for that to come in. And so it's similar to what you're saying, but then we each time more comes, the vessel has to break the old patterns, the old beliefs, what we stored, all of that to be able to expand for the new things to come in. That's part of our destiny, to expand ourselves. It's part of the learning. And that's one of the things I work with and teach people to think about. So, we can end on this. When people walk in the door of Roslyn Salt Cave, what is your dream or hope or want for them when they walk in? The experience, the mindset, whatever it may be. Interpret it in however it resonates with you.
I want them to walk out having experienced a moment of peace and relaxation, and of really connecting with themselves. And I have, during COVID, I got a great opportunity. I built a lounge at Northwell for the doctors and the nurses, and it's called the Lavender Lounge. It's fantastic. And the police that work, the security guards that work there are ex new NYPD like cops, and they have a lot of PTSD. And so I built the wall during COVID. The lounge, and it has a salt wall, and it was on George the Rescue on NBC. And one of the cops came into, well, I say cops because he is a cop, but the security guards came into the Salt Cave, and he said, "I just want to tell you," and he's a big burly guy who's an ex, cop, and he said, "I just want to tell you that when I go into that room, or when I come into the cave and I put my hand on the salt, if I have anxiety, it grounds me and it takes that away." And so for him, it was that moment of connection. It makes him feel safe. And that's what I want. And that's what people get at the cave. I feel like no matter what service they have, they walk out with hope.
What's so interesting is, and this is my response to that, is that you said two things, and I'm not sure if you're even aware. You said connection and safety.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to note that they're so interconnected. And connection doesn't necessarily mean with someone else. First and foremost, connection with self
100%.
And with higher power.
Yeah.
And that cohesion, between the higher power, your mind, your heart, your inner self, that's all critical. Like, I look at it as an infinity, right? The higher power to your mind, to your heart, which is really your soul, because that's where you speak from, where you live from, and then it goes back to your mind. But the mind controls it, so it's divinely downloaded, right? You get the download, it goes to your heart to connect to the soul and where you lead with love. And then you go back to your mind to remind your mind that it's out of love, right? You lead with love. and then back to the higher power. So it's infinite, and being aware of that flow helps you stay connected to yourself and the higher power. And that's first and foremost to provide the essential level of safety. And then safety in the 2D world, right, is then the connection not just to yourself, but others or other things, whether it be an environment such as the salt cave, or for me, the beach, um, or certain objects. People like really feel safe when they're connected to their teddy bear. Right?
Exactly.
So
Doesn't
I
matter
think,
what it is.
yeah. So what you said was really profound in terms of connection and safety. And when you said that, that seems to me like what you're looking to provide, at Roslyn Salt Cave.
Definitely, yes.
Oh man, beautiful. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah.